Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to welcome everyone to the homecoming rally. I want to welcome the Lions. I want to welcome the staff and the faculty from Wilmer. An observation from this morning is we have spent the last 3 years doing this rally by Zoom. To be able to shake hands, to give hugs, adds another entire dimension to this rally. So I would like to start the program by asking PDG John Schwed, who is chair of the LVRF Development Committee, to come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and to offer an invocation.
Thank you, Chair D. Please join me in the salute to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today we'd like to dedicate this rally to the memory of Lion William Strauss, okay? Lion Bill was a graduate of Virginia Tech, a Navy veteran of World War II, a member of the Libertytown Unionville Lions Club for 50 years, and he was inducted into the Maryland Senior Citizens Hall of Fame in 2017. Lion Bill was the epitome of a lion. He was a first-class world citizen. He showed us by example that an individual in his 90s could defy the aging process and do amazing things. Bill did a super job for several years as our LVRF Lions Vision Bulletin editor. He was creative, determined, supportive, and an excellent team builder. We all miss his gracious presence and his wit. And before I continue with the invocation, I would like to ask us to pause for a brief moment of silence in Lion William Strauss's memory. Thank you. O God, who art the creator of the universe, we thank thee for the beauty of this day and all the gifts of thy creation. On this homecoming day, we ask your blessings upon our Wilmer Lions partnership, dedicated to helping those who suffer from low vision. As we approach the season of Thanksgiving, we are thankful for those who labor on our behalf, the eye research and rehabilitation team serving the patients, and the generous Lions and non-Lions who support the team with their donations. We pray for a good meeting here in Baltimore, the first on-site meeting in several years. Help us to have open minds, compassionate hearts, and to make wise decisions. We ask that you protect the men and women of our armed forces who protect us and liberty worldwide. We pray for peace among all nations and for tolerance and unity across America. Provide your healing peace to families who have lost loved ones and to those known or known to us who may be in distress. And at the end of our day here today, please guide everyone safely home. We ask all these things in thy name and say, Amen, Shalom.
Thank you, Past District Governor John. I'd like to move into the next part of the program by introducing our first speaker. Dr. Morton Goldberg is the Joseph E. Green Professor of Ophthalmology and Director Emeritus at the Wilmer Eye Institute at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. From 1989 to 2003, he served as the Director and William Holland Wilmer Professor of Ophthalmology at the Wilmer Eye Institute. Dr. Goldberg received his A.B. and M.D. with honors from Harvard College and Harvard Medical School, respectively. He interned at Peter Bent Brigham Hospital in Boston and completed an ophthalmic residency at the Wilmer Eye Institute in Baltimore. Dr. Goldberg served as chairman of the Department of Ophthalmology at the University of Illinois College of Medicine from 1970 to 1989. Let us welcome Dr. Goldberg.
Thank you very much, Dee. Good morning, everybody. I just want you to know that I'm here to offer you a very, very hearty welcome from all the folks at the Wilmer Institute. We have been greeting you here at these reunions for many decades, and I want you to know that Lions have always been welcome here and always will be welcome here, so thank you for coming. I thought you might like to know that I've had a wonderful relationship, personal as well as administrative relationship with many Lions. I'm so happy to see my old friend, past District Governor John Schwed, and want to congratulate you, John, and also congratulate John Lawrence, International Director. These are wonderful, wonderful people. The entire district benefits from all their hard work, and it's a great mutual relationship. You might be interested to know how this happy relationship between the Wilmer folks and the multiple district members and their friends, how it came about. It's a very personal and a highly successful story for my colleagues and me, and also for all of you in the multiple district. So here goes. All the way back in 1969, about half a century ago, I finished my training as an eye doctor here and immediately became a professor and chairman of ophthalmology at the University of Illinois in Chicago. It was an interesting experience for me because I was the first full-time faculty member of the entire medical school, despite it having been around for over 100 years. So I was given a once-in-a-lifetime set of responsibilities, which was a heavy weight at the time, but turned out to be very, very gratifying. And that set of responsibilities given to me at the time was specifically to recruit an entire staff. There was not a single full-time faculty member at the time, and there was zero eye research, zero. And my responsibility was to emphasize not just superb care of patients with poor vision, of course, but also to build a teaching and a research program. Well, in other words, it was to make it just like Wilmer, if I could, if that were possible. Well, as the youngest chairman in the country at that time, I did have access to a gorgeous building known as the Illinois Eye and Ear Infirmary, but except for an outpatient clinic and some operating rooms, there was no space whatsoever for research. So in desperation, I used some of the funds given to me upon my arrival, and I renovated, if you can believe it, 2 bathrooms to make research labs out of them. And then I began recruiting 100% of the faculty, the clinician scientists, the nurses, the technicians, the secretaries, librarians, scientific photographers, the entire staff, 100%. But I was confronted with no money for actually doing the research, even when the staff was recruited. So I was, as you can imagine, feeling just a little bit desperate, but I was rescued, and by the Lions of Illinois. So I had a very, very warm feeling for those nice people. And there were a lot of them, 40,000 Lions in the state of Illinois. So I want to enumerate just 4 of the many success stories that happened there because of active Lionism throughout that big state. All the way from Chicago in the north to rural Illinois in the far south in the St. Louis suburbs. So first, out of the blue, the executive director of the Lions of Illinois Foundation unexpectedly and voluntarily came to me with an idea. How about creating the first eye bank in the Midwest? Eye banks normally collect clear and transparent corneas, the windows at the front of the eye. They collect them from recently deceased people and then provide them to the eye bank to distribute to eye operating rooms to replace cloudy windows in the eye with the recently obtained clear windows. and thereby restoring sight to those living patients. Well, what a great idea. And with their money, and especially their manpower, the Lions built a laboratory and office and supplied a coordinator to found and develop the eye bank and work in my department. And within only a year, the Lions Eye Bank, that's how it's officially known, the Lions Eye Bank, became the largest supplier of clear corneas for human transplantation and in the entire Midwest. Wow. Success number one. Second, the Lions had the great idea to bring modern eye care to the entire state of Illinois, including rural areas all the way down south. And to do so, they bought a large bus, outfitted it with modern, new diagnostic eye equipment, and sent it into almost every town and city in Illinois, with a big sign on each side which said, "The Lions of Illinois Glaucoma Mobile." This was emphasizing the disease glaucoma, a common disease that many of you may know about, where the pressure in the eye is too high. But the staff also examined and treated many other diseases as well, including red eye and cataract and retinal detachment and you name it, many others, and for no charge. Wow. Success number two. Third, then in 1980, they decided to build a brand new freestanding eye research building, an entire building on the campus of the University of Illinois in Chicago, 2 floors and a working basement. And they did so after raising over $5 million, a lot now and much, much more back then in 1980, and finally dedicated the building in 1985 as the Lions of Illinois Eye Research Building. Another wow, success number 3. And fourth, finally, then they wanted to secure a permanently named Lions professorship in the new building and raised about $1.5 million to do that and named this permanent position in honor of a great Lion from Southern Illinois, Mr. Charles Young, who was a lumberyard operator. And because of this named endowment, there will always be a Charles Young, Lions Professor of Ophthalmology at the University of Illinois, and there is one now, a highly successful one. Wow, again, success number 4. So why do I enumerate these successes for you? Because the Illinois Lions had literally come to my rescue and helped me build not only an outstanding patient care delivery program, but also the very best research and teaching programs in the entire Midwest, if not the entire country. So at that time, I proudly told my Baltimore close friend, Dr. Arnold Patz, you all know about the Arnold Patz fellowships, of course. I told Dr. Patz about the Lionism in Illinois, and he then, as director of the Wilmer Eye Institute, sought out 2 local famous Lions, and some of you here may be old enough to remember them. I'm looking at a lot of young and youthful faces here, but there may be a few people old enough to remember Mr. Murray Ryan and Mr. Roland Young. Murray Ryan was an international director, and all of their colleagues in your multiple district. And all of you together seized upon a possible productive collaboration with Wilmer, and the rest is history. And I'm sure that for the last several decades, the progress has been extraordinary, thanks to the hard work of all of you, and that it will continue into the future. And as you all know better than I, you've had many, many major successes here and throughout the multiple district due to your generosity and kindness, manpower, volunteerism, and your can-do attitude. And for all these efforts, we are very, very appreciative. So I'll now enumerate just some of your wonderful efforts and achievements for which we and our patients are enormously grateful. For example, Lions Vision Days, Aim for Sight, Nights for the Blind, as commanded by the deaf and blind lady Helen Keller, Club Challenges, the Arnold Patz Fellows, Gifts to school districts to support education of individuals who have profound visual loss, and they provided Braille writers, computer software, and so on, and also many direct personal services. For example, providing financial support to community members to purchase visually rehabilitative devices to help the poorly sighted and blind, and also delivery and setup of recycled devices to members of local communities, and also school vision screenings, and also assistance with transportation to eye doctors' offices, including here at Wilmer, and also your ongoing, very important support of the Lions Vision Rehabilitation and Research Center, and of course, fundraising to establish the Lions Fellowship Endowment, which is a very important fund, as most of you know, to support one person each year to become an expert, a bona fide expert in delivering low vision care after learning from our superlative teachers in low vision rehabilitation under the supervision of real experts, including Drs. Judy Goldstein, Bob Massoff, Gilan Daniele, and their large, wonderful team. Your assistance actually is now more needed than ever because of our aging population with a high incidence of poor vision. So I conclude again, wow, wow, wow. What a series of triumphs, and I believe, having known you for a long, long time, half a century, there are many more projects to come to fruition. So in historical terms, both the University of Illinois and the Wilmer Institute have become the very best eye centers in the country, and I believe in the entire world. And you deserve much of the credit. It's been an incredible success story, a wonderful marriage of two great organizations, and I have personally witnessed this progress, this set of splendid achievements for a long, long time. You actually have helped us enormously to build what I think is a golden era of improved eye care and improved delivery of treatments for countless patients, and also for enhanced teaching and research. And I believe there's much more to come. So all of us here are very appreciative for what you've done and what you continue to do. I now want to close these brief comments with words always used by Mr. Charles Young of rural downstate Illinois, the man I told you about. Specifically, he always said, quote, "Thanks a million and a million thanks," end quote. And that is what I say to you today. Thanks a million and a million thanks. So I want to conclude these comments by offering my best wishes to each one of you. I hope you have a great time this morning and a great time this afternoon. So now let me introduce the fabulous Dr. Judith Goldstein, Associate Professor of Ophthalmology, Chief of your Lions Vision Rehabilitation and Research Center. To Dr. Goldstein. Thanks and good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Goldberg, for the presentation and your dedication to the Lions and to Wilmer. We really very much appreciate everything you've done for us at the center and for the Lions. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Lions, Lionesses, invited guests, and colleagues and friends, welcome home. We're really glad to have you here today, and we're so glad that you joined us. I bring you greetings and warm regards from Ellen and Susan Patz. I spoke to them just a few nights ago, and they both really wanted to join us here today, but for other reasons are not able to attend. But they wanted to share with you how much they appreciate everything that they have done with the Lions and the relationship that Arnold had with the Lions. Today, you're going to hear highlights of our clinical teaching and research program. And we've had a really exciting year with the addition of new faculty, teaching programs, and launching new studies. So I'm going to keep my remarks really brief because I'm going to be back in just a little bit later to share some different remarks with you. So just a few comments. As many of you know, it's been 101 years of Multiple District 22 and about 32 years that the center's been in existence. And this is just a picture that I love of Arnold and Ellen receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And so as I mentioned, we'll be giving you a little bit of an update, but I'm going to focus really on the education program. My colleagues today are going to focus on research, and you saw a lot in the clinic this morning. So we do so much teaching, and before I got here, the Low Vision Center really wasn't doing much teaching. And now we are training ophthalmology residents, teaching undergrad medical students. We just had our grand rounds. We do clinical and didactic programs. Our faculty lecture nationally and internationally. And what you'll hear from Kristen Shiflett is we are training the next generation of occupational therapy experts in low vision now. And something that's very near and dear to my heart, the Lions Vision Rehabilitation Fellowship Program. So back in 2008, as a center of excellence, we had some real concerns about what's going to happen with the next generation of low vision providers. Who's going to be providing this care? And what was very clear was that there are not enough people going into this field. So brilliantly, the Lions partnered with Wilmer once again and said, hey, let's develop a fellowship training program where we can train one person every year to go out into the field and do the work that you do. And so I'm so proud to report that we have now trained 9 fellows since the start of this program. And rather than me tell you about the wondrous parts of the program and tell you how great our faculty have become, I just wanted to share with you just a very brief video from our 2012 Lions Low Vision Fellow, Dr. Nicole Ross.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Nicole Ross. I'm an associate professor here at the New England College of Optometry here in Boston. Since the Lions Low Vision Fellowship, I returned to the college, this optometry school where I graduated from. I am the instructor of record of our low vision rehabilitation course, and I teach optometry students about the field of low vision and rehabilitation. And I'm also the instructor of record of the Advanced Ocular Disease courses 1 and 2. And so those 3 courses comprise the majority of our third-year optometry curriculum, which I'm really pleased to be involved with, kind of pushing forward in different ways and thinking about evidence-based care. And, since the fellowship, I also here at the college engage in, I'm very active in research. We have a very active research program here in low vision rehabilitation. We just are finishing up a couple of randomized controlled trials looking at telerehabilitation and also looking at visual assistive smartphone apps. As part of my time here at the college, I'm also very involved in patient care. I see patients over at our low vision clinic here at the college, and then also see patients at Perkins School for the Blind for pediatric low vision cases. So I've continued to be involved in teaching, research, and patient care. And those are sort of the 3 pillars, of the fellowship that really, help to launch people into independent careers in those areas. And I think, the impact of the fellowship has been immense. I mean, the number of teaching faculty that have come out of the fellowship really speaks to, not only pushing those individuals' careers forward, but the impact that then those individuals have within the teaching space on other optometrists and other people's careers really, exponentially increases the impact of the fellowship. And really speaks to the importance of continuing to train clinicians and clinician scientists in the field of low vision rehabilitation. As part of my work at the college, I'm also very involved in the American Schools and Colleges of Optometry in terms of developing and standardizing curriculum in low vision rehabilitation across all of the different optometry schools in North America, which has been a really exciting role. And I think the Lions Research Low Vision Fellowship really prepares you well for and puts you in a great position. So I can't thank the Lions enough for their support in my career and all the people that they've supported and all of the other people whose careers have developed since. I think it's incredibly valuable and important program, and just want to, extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you. Thank you so much.
So Lions, I think you don't realize the effect that you have through the program. When I was at the Federalsburg Lions banquet last weekend, we had another presentation remotely from Dr. Deemer. She texted me her presentation and she said, I'm really sorry, I know you wanted it to be 3 minutes, but it had ended up being 18 minutes. I had so much to say and so many ways to thank the Lions. So this is where it goes, right? This is how they're paying it forward. And Dr. Ross has trained subsequently one of the future fellows that we have had here at Wilmer. So we're really proud of our program, and now I have the distinct privilege and honor to be introducing our newest Lions Vision Fellow, Dr. Colette Hussan. Colette is a super impressive individual. It's been such a joy having her so far this year. And I will turn it over to her to share a little bit about her experiences. But before I do, Lions, I just wanted to thank you again. What you have provided, what you have given us, what you've given the field of low vision is immeasurable. And although I could never thank you enough, I want you to know that these people that you've trained are thanking you every day. So thanks again for being here today.
Thank you, Dr. Goldstein. Your words are always too kind. So good morning, everyone. As Dr. Goldstein said, I'm Colette Hussan. I'm this year's Low Vision Fellow here. So first off, I want to thank you all for giving me this amazing opportunity, this one-of-a-kind opportunity to become a clinician scientist like all the great fellows before me, but also to further the field of low vision. In my short time here so far, I've gotten to do so much. In addition to seeing patients and doing research, I've been able to fully immerse myself into the Maryland Community Resources for the Blind. I got to go to one of the biggest optometric conferences and learn the latest and greatest in low vision. And additionally, I got to work with some great, amazing seeing eye dogs and the amazing staff up in New Jersey at the Seeing Eye. But this position also gives me the opportunity to spread my love of low vision as well. Since coming here, I've been able to teach second-year med students how to do the preliminary exam. I spoke to a low vision support group at the Meyerberg Center here locally. I went to the Salisbury Lions Club banquet and met some amazing lions and lionesses. And I just gave my fall grand rounds presentation last week about an amazing case and an amazing patient that we have. And then lastly, I've spoken to fourth years over at the Kentucky College of Optometry, where I graduated from, and inspired them to hopefully apply to the fellowship and get another great KICO student here. Already next year, I have a very busy schedule talking to the Foundation for Fighting Blindness, another grand rounds presentation, the Lions Convention, and then getting to present my research, hopefully, at the ARVO Convention. So this opportunity is completely amazing. I'm fulfilling my mission of wanting to help people retain their function and everything, and that's all because of all of you and all your support. So thank you for everything that you guys do, and thank you for continuing to inspire the next set of low vision specialists. Thank you. And you guys have heard me talk enough this morning, so let me introduce a fellow Lion, Dr. Shalon Danieli, to speak to you guys about our research.
Thank you, Colette, and welcome, Lions. It's a great pleasure to talk to you this morning. And I've been told I have to do this in 5 minutes. I have 16 slides, so we're going to go right through them. I want to talk to you about the research areas that we cover at the Low Vision Center, and there are quite a few. We're trying to improve the management of low vision patients. We're trying to create new diagnostic tools and outcome measures, and we're studying artificial vision. So in terms of the new diagnostic tools, those of you who were at the tours have seen some of them. We have a binocular visual field test and a scan pattern test for homonymous hemianopia. So visual field test, as you all may know, you have this machine where you sit in front of a bowl, chin on the chin rest, one eye covered, and lights are flashing all around, and you have to press the button every time you see a flash. And this is the type of visual field that you get that shows the blind areas in the retina of each eye. But you do it one eye at a time. Now, imagine that you have a visual field where with the right eye, you can only see everything that's on the left. That's on the right. No, with the left eye, you can only see everything that's on the right. With the right eye, you see everything that's on the left. This can happen if you have a tumor of the optic nerve, for instance, at the chiasm where the nerves cross. So when you're looking ahead in the distance, one eye sees one half of the field, the other eye sees the half of the field, and everything's complete. But now if you turn your eyes inward, there's going to be a blind area. So you're looking at your dashboard or at your device there on your dashboard, and, all of a sudden that oncoming car is gone because that's in your blind area far away. So it's really important to do these binocular visual fields because the scotomas, the blind areas in the two eyes, overlap to different extents depending on how far away you're fixating. Your eyes are straight ahead or your eyes are coming in. Okay, for homonymous hemianopia, we want to know how people who have had a stroke in the back of their head, they're missing one half of their visual field, and they have to learn to compensate with their eye movements. So we're asking them to look at these dots, and on the right, you can see how their eye movements are recorded while they're doing that. And so we can see how they recover scanning. When they're looking to the right side, they may not see any of the dots on the left, so they have to learn to specifically look over to the left and see those dots. In terms of outcome measures, we've worked with questionnaires. I'm not going to talk about questionnaires because Dr. Massov and I have talked to you a lot about that in the past, but I do want to talk to you about some of our visual performance tests. Here is a young man who he's wearing a virtual reality headset, and he sees this object in front of him on the table, and he has to pick up a wallet, and then he has to pick up a phone. And this young man has ultra-low vision, so he sees very, very little. He can't see any letters on the chart, but he can still make out where these objects are. And so he's grasping with his hand, and you can actually see the hand on the screen there. That's a virtual hand that he also sees. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Here you have to throw a ball into a basket. Okay, easy enough. Or you have to pick up a carton with milk. Up. Let's get started. Up. So you have to find it first and then reach out and get it. So this is for people who have very poor vision, ultra-low vision. And then, let's see, we also have a metro train that you have to board. So we tell the person you're standing on the steps here. And this is a video that we recorded from an actual subject. When the train stops, you have to wait for people to get off, get on the train. And then sometimes we tell them to find an empty seat and sit down. In this case, we just told him to get out and off the train again. Okay. Studying artificial vision, we've worked for a long time with Argus 2 patients who have a retinal implant. And Roxana Sadeghi was a graduate student. Dr. Goldstein talked about the training and education that we do. Well, we also train people in research. And so here is a project in Chicago that I've talked to you about in the past, cortical implants in the brain. And here is a video that we took of our first implant subject. You see him here sitting at the table. He's looking around, and he only has a few little dots of light here near the center, and then some other areas towards the left. And you can see those areas light up as he's looking at these objects on the table. He has to find the plate that is all the way over on the left. Whoop, stop, hush. I see my phone is telling me I have to stop. Okay, I'm almost done. Hush. So he finds the plate that's on the left, and he reaches out and grabs it. Okay, so this is a very quick overview of our research. 32 years of support from the Lions. Thank you so much for everything you do. And I'm going to introduce the next speaker, which is, yes, my colleague Yingzi Zhang, who joined us this spring. She's a fellow researcher, and she's going to talk to you about her research.
Thank you, Zhelang, for the introduction, and thank you all for being here today, and such an honor to introduce myself to you and get to know you more today. So my name is Yingzi Xiong, and I want to first talk a little bit about my research trajectory. So technically, my career decision was made when I was 1 year old, because it's a Chinese tradition to have a baby sitting centered by many objects representing different future careers and have them pick one. And among many others that may indicate I could be wealthier, I picked a book and a pen. So that's how I started my nerdy journey of being a researcher. And I received PhD training in vision science from 2011 to 2016 in China at Peking University. So my research looked at how human brain, what happens in our brain when we learn new skills, when we learn music, when we learn to read, or even learn the perception of time. And this is me very proud after my oral defense. And you see me holding a very thick pile of paper on my head. And each piece of paper represented the training schedule for one participant who worked with me. And each person were trained from 7 days to 21 days. So that's how many people I have worked with who have trained. And I was very proud. So after graduation, I came to the US in 2016. I became a postdoc at the Minnesota Low Vision Research Lab. And why I made the transition from basic vision science to low vision research, that's because simple training is most valuable for people whose vision is no longer perfect. So that was my motivation. A lot of my early postdoc work focused on reading with low vision, especially in this digital reading era. There are so many options of digital devices out there. What are the principles our patients and clinicians should follow when they choose the best display, the best print size, best font for them? So that was what I was studying. I was also really fortunate to have had this opportunity to be a fellow at Kansas at a low vision clinic. That was where I really got so close to clinicians and patients. I got to know what happens in vision rehabilitation, what's the value of it, and also made me realize what's the value of low vision research, and made me motivated to stay in this field. Of course, when I was looking for a new position, I was wondering, who will value what I value? Who will know this is important? And I was so glad I found this position. I'm so honored to be here. I found myself, it's just been 6 months, but I found myself constantly telling people how happy I am here and this is where I should be. I came here with my research on dual sensory impairment, which is the combined vision and hearing impairment. Why studying this? Because 40% of patients visiting low vision clinic also have hearing impairment, including our own clinic. Some people call this double trouble. So there are more trouble with independent travel. There are more trouble with social interactions. There are limited choices for assistive technology when the person have both visual and hearing impairment. So the goal of this research is to really integrate considerations on hearing impairment in vision rehabilitation to really maximize the outcome of vision rehabilitation for these patients. And of course, hearing loss is not the only comorbidity for our patients. And comorbidities are something our clinicians value and we constantly discuss in our clinic. So this research will give us a successful model of how comorbidities can be dealt with in vision rehabilitation. And as a team, we are establishing this new search about vision environmental accessibility. What does that mean? When something in the environment is not visible, it becomes a hazard. There has been more and more awareness on physical accessibility, but not so much on visual accessibility. And why? It's really difficult to know whether something in the environment is visible for a certain individual because everybody's vision is different. So our goal here is to develop a smartphone-based objective tool that can help us identify hazardous features in the environment for an individual based on their vision status. So we really want to raise the awareness of environmental accessibility for our patients with low vision and find a way to make our environment more accessible for them. And I am so excited to be here to do this research and to have my wonderful colleagues at Lions, at Wilmer, and it wouldn't have been possible without all of your support. Thank you so much for your continuous support, and I'm so happy to be a team over here. Thank you. So now let me introduce our occupational therapist, Kristen Shiflett, who has all the knowledge working with patients that I wish I had.
Good morning, Lions. Great to be back here again. This is my 10th year now here at Wilmer, which is absolutely crazy, but lovely. So I'm going to talk to you about occupational therapy. So just a little background. So occupational therapists, again, help patients with everyday activities, like I told some people in the tour, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed. That's really occupational therapy. Everything you do is what we analyze and take bits of. So our background as an occupational therapist, people come with different bachelors. You can have a psychology background, biology, or environmental science. So that's 4 years of schooling. After that, you get to go to graduate school for either 2 or 3 years. You can get your master's in occupational therapy or a doctorate in occupational therapy. So in our classes, again, we're learning about the brain, how the body moves, the theory of OT, and then the real training comes in field work. So we have 3 different options for field work. So the first one is a level 1-week rotations. Again, OTs can be anywhere from the school systems to communities to hospitals. I've even had some of my colleagues work in prisons, helping people that from when they come out to the world after their time, adjusting to that. So many different aspects OTs can be involved in. And then you get more specialized in the level 2. So you spend 3 months at one location and you become the student to eventually acting like a therapist by the end. And we do 2 options that way. So you only get 2 of those. And then if you want to do the doctorate, you do a specialized field work, which is another 3 months. And that could be in low vision if they want to. So again, low vision, again, all those things that we learn in OT school, each school, so there's 470 schools across this country that are accredited for occupational therapy. Their curriculum is not standard for each of those schools. So it can vary between schools from a 1-day, 2-hour lecture to a 1-week lecture, which is what I had. I had 1-week lecture, so it was 2 hours every day for a week. And then you can have some programs are now getting more specialized, and they're having 6 to 8 week 6 to 8 week specialty programs, which they would do a little bit more, dive into what low vision is, go into the diagnoses, have community site visits, and learn more about assistive technology. So vast range, huge. For, again, the statistics of how many people are going to be in vision impairment is constantly growing. And then they could have level field work opportunities. They could do a level 1, 2, or 3, like we talked about before. So those are all the opportunities as a new occupational therapist. If you were like myself, how I found into low vision, I did it after I was an OT for 7 years. So there's postgraduate work you can do. Obviously, we do continuing education units for an OT for our licensure every year, but then also you could do a more specialized, get a certificate for low vision, which is a 2-year process, or you can do self-study and get your specialty certification through the Academy of Certification for Vision Rehabilitation and Education, or as we call it, ACVREP. So these are the 2 options, really. A pass, they can find low vision. And think of this, we have about 135,000 OTs. How many do vision? Less than 1,000 every day. And that's not enough. So I have been graciously having these wonderful relationships. These are with these occupational therapists that I mentor that want to get their certification in low vision. They have made their days go bend backwards to figure out how to spend time with me. The first mentor, mentee, Abby, she actually is in Minnesota. And so she and I have been having bi-weekly meetings about how to enhance her skills. We talk about patients and things like that. Brianna, Noelle, Christine, and LaDawn, 2 of them are in training to get their certification. Noelle is in Florida now and has her certification, and LaDawn is working on it as well. So these are the people that come to the clinic and spend time with me. But the new way of what we're doing is trying to get these students from the beginning. So we are opening our doors to occupational therapy students. I've been very fortunate to have 2 wonderful students. So what they're doing with us now, they are here for 3 months. So they'll start interviewing the patients right from the get-go. And then now, towards the end of the clinical, they are treating the patients with me there and to guide them as they are learning about the process. So we are very lucky to have the first student was Lillian Kennedy. She was from Towson. You guys, she wrote a editorial for the newsletter, so you got her perspective on the field work. And now we are ending Sherwina's time with us. She literally has 2 more days. She's probably very excited to be done with school. So Sherwina is graciously here, so I'm going to let her talk about her experience, and we will bring her up to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sherwina Adams. I'm a part of Duke's occupational therapy program, and this is actually the first occupational therapy program at Duke. So to introduce us to the different areas that OTs could be a part of, they would have different people come in and teach the class about what it is that they did. That is when I was first introduced to the idea of low vision. I was shown everything from electronic magnifiers to pill sorters to bold markers. It was some of the simplest things that made such a big difference in the way that someone lived their life. But also I was introduced to technology that I had no idea existed, and I found everything really interesting. About a year ago, I decided to sign up for the low vision elective at my school, and soon enough I was assigned to spend my level 2 fieldwork here at Wilmer. I've been fortunate enough to work with an amazing team in the low vision department, and I thank you all for participating in my learning experience. I appreciate Kristen and the way that she structured my time here. Not only was I able to see the clinical aspect of things, but I've also been able to see the amazing work people are doing in the community as well. I visited Division of Rehabilitation Services, Blind Industries and Services of Maryland, Towson's Wellness and Stroke and Head Injury Program, and Certified Driving Rehabilitation in Frederick, and many others. I've been able to hear the different perspectives and learn different strategies, which has made for a very well-rounded experience. As a level 2 student, you kind of progress in phases, like Kristen mentioned. When I first came in, I was an observer, and then I was sort of an helper. And as I'm finishing out my rotation, I'm now leading my own sessions. I've learned from a lot of people that have been doing this work for a very long time, but I feel I've honestly learned the most from the patients themselves. I've had a wide range of patients, most of which with quite spicy personalities. But I've enjoyed every second of it, and I've soaked in what I could from their lived experience. I think my biggest takeaway being here has been the functionality of things. So after all the glasses and the surgeries and the eye drops, kind of what now? When you go home and go into the community, are you able to do the things that you want to do and that you need to do? Regaining independence has been such an important thing to the people that I've worked with, and it's such a rewarding process to be a part of. I've been here for almost 3 months now, and I feel I've gained a lot of knowledge, but at the same time barely scratched the surface of what an OT's role could play in this setting. It would be almost impossible for Kristen to squeeze her 10 years of knowledge into 3 months. And that is why I think low vision should be considered more than just a specialty area of OT, but more standard. We all need to have that base knowledge no matter what demographic that we choose to work with. As OTs, it's our job to focus on improving access to activities of daily living. Vision impacts all of those, and it's often forgot about in our field. I'm hoping this is something that can change in the near future because I know the valuable knowledge I've gained being here and how so many others could benefit as well. So thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you, Sherwina. We're very lucky to have you in our clinic, and our patients love you, so thank you again. So now to the main event. Seriously, this is why we're here. This is why we do what we do, why we spend hours doing documentation or raising money or whatever it is we want to do for our patients. It is our patients. So we have a lovely lady. Her name is Shakitha Johnson. I've known her for a couple years. I felt like I've known her forever. It's just when you're an OT, you gain these great relationships with patients, and we hear the highs and lows, and we have celebrations in both of our lives. Shakitha also is an active member of the Sun Group and a mentor to others, and I just think she has a wonderful perspective on her journey here in low vision. So I will invite her to the stage to tell you her perspective.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. But most importantly, thank you for sharing Christian with me. So, as a patient, I'm used to doctors telling me, but with Christian, that's not what happened. She listened. And that was a big change for me, to hear somebody listen, to see somebody listen, see somebody care. At first, I thought this was going to be like a dead process for me because I had lost my sight. I'm 41 years old. I was at the top of my life. I had just got promoted to D.C. government. I was living the life. And when this happened, I was like derailed. But after meeting Christian, I'm back in the saddle. I'm at Coppin State working on my second master's in addiction counseling. I'm very independent. I move around by mobility, but I'm getting where I'm going. I do a lot of different things, and Christian took the time. But most importantly, it was my mental capacity that she took the time with to help me overcome some fears I was having about losing sight. She took the time to help my family see, because that was my biggest challenge, what my sight impairments would be. She blinded my brother one day, and he almost lost it with them goggles, so it really helped us grow as a family. My support system is big, but Christian spends a lot of time with us. And I didn't know she did all this other stuff she had on this board either. I did not know. And to be like, she's in the Sun group on Wednesday, supporting us, getting us different things to help us be independent. I really did not know she did all of this stuff. So I'm amazed, Christian. I am so amazed. And then the daughter, she's always with the little girl, her daughter. So it's just amazing that she spends all this time with us so that we can be independent, we can be productive citizens again. And we don't have to feel like we're going to the back burner because we have an impairment. But I'm just here to tell you, I'm thankful for Wilmer because I'm not on the sideline. I'm back out there in the saddle again. I'm doing a whole lot. And I love mentoring others because I want them to know that life doesn't stop just because you have a visual impairment. You can do a whole lot. Like I said, I'm a second master's. And when I can't see something, I get on the phone with Christian and get me an appointment to see it. So that's the most important thing. And I just want to say thank you, Christian.
Yes, I'm back to the mic again. All right. Okay, so I'll get my spot here. So now another fun part of this presentation, not only the patients, but the people we really work with. A big thing that I have gained a lot through this perspective is the people that we work with, not only within the Wilmer community, within the Wilmer family, but outside. So let's see if I can do without crying again. I've done this 2 times crying. Okay, we can do this. Okay, so as we all know, Jim Deremick. Who does not know Jim Deremick? So a couple years, we decided to have this award for Jim and wanted to create that. So, sorry, I'm gonna start again. The Jim Deremick Exemplary Service Award was developed in 2021 to honor Jim Deremick's contribution to the vision community through the clinical work, research, and partnerships in the community. Each year, we are honoring a community partner within the Lions Vision Research and Rehabilitation Center, people that have gone above and beyond the call of duty, just like Jim. We in the clinic depend on these community partners to make change in the community and to provide a positive environment for patients living with a vision impairment. So in the past years, one second. Do we have my slides? No. Sorry, 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. You sure? Okay. Oh, good. Okay, sorry. So this is Jim at his recent wedding. He looks lovely, very dapper, Jim. This is, as he's blushing, this is the award we have in the clinic if you went through the tour. So the past years was Bejoy, Claire, Janet Morrison, and this year is Scott Holden. And 1 minute, Scott. I get to talk about you first, Scott. So Scott was introduced to the blindness community by registering for an AER conference in Ocean City, Maryland, about 40 years ago. And of course, who was the person that he met? Jim Deremick. Scott at the time was selling ARC book binders and started his company, Sensory Support Systems, in Bethesda, Maryland. When Wilmer was in the 550 building, Scott was a Wilmer vendor and came into the clinic often to demonstrate and sell devices to our patients. Besides coming to Wilmer, he did travel for his job as well. He went to Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, and at one time West Virginia. Scott loves working with patients. He would make sure that the device is the right fit for the patient. He would loan devices out to patients to make sure it really worked for them so they wouldn't have buyer's remorse. In the past couple years, Scott has started to transition his role to retirement. Now he's officially retired. He has educated the future Keith Austin about the business and working with patients with low vision. As a clinician, I always appreciated Scott's honest feedback on patients, his strong communication skills, but most importantly, his humor and wit. In the past 3 months, Scott has officially retired and donated at least 15 desktop CCTVs, portables to our clinic, which we have a joy running around the state of Maryland, giving them to patients. I will tell you some of these devices helped young patients who are in school with our children who are not receiving that equipment at home, but also older adults who are just trying to see if this device would work for them. Scott is an unsung hero in the low vision community, and we want to honor him today for this dedication to Wilmer and to the low vision population. Scott, please come down to receive your award. And we have this lovely plaque for him to take home to remember us. You're so
I began my career in March of 1987. I became a dealer for Telesensory Corporation, selling their low vision adaptive technology. My boss was Art Bookbinder. He was up in New York, and on the third day of my job, he called me and he said, "I have a guy you need to get in touch with. His name is Jim Dermick. He's a great guy, and I think he can do you some good." So I'm taking notes, and I write down Jim, and then I ask him, "How does he spell his last name?" Art paused and then replied, "No one knows." So I go out to the Hoover Low Vision Clinic, which Jim was working at the time, and I am really nervous. I wore a jacket and tie. I shined my shoes, and I said, "Hello, mister," and I had gotten his name on an index card, and I went, "D-re-me-ick?" And he said, "You're never going to get it right. Stop trying." And then the interrogation began. He said, "If I was to give you a referral, would you go to their home? Would you bring a couple pieces of equipment? Would you be patient? Would you go slowly and make sure that they understand everything? And if they happened to purchase it and there was a problem, would you go back to their home?" Well, by now I was hyperventilating. I said, yes, sir, Mr. D-E-M-E-R-E-I-K. And we've been good friends and colleagues ever since. I contend that there is no one more well-known in the low vision community in the United States than Jim Dermick. I can't go to an out-of-town conference, and when people find out that I once worked part-time at the Hopkins Clinic, they all respond the same way. "You know Jim Dermick? He is so wonderful." I always reply, yeah. I'm tired of hearing about it. And the other thing that amazes me about him is how networked he is on referrals. And I'm not talking about the Baltimore, Washington area. I could call him and say, "I have an aunt who lives in Des Moines, Iowa, and she needs a low vision eval." His response would be, "I know a clinic there. They're really great. She'll love them." Another time I could call him and say, "I have an uncle who lives on the top of the Himalaya mountains." And he would say, "Well, I don't know an OD, and I don't know an MD, but I know a Sherpa." A Sherpa that practices low vision. He's really great. I mentioned that we have been good friends for, well, let me mention it now, for 36 years. I say this because good friends can bust your chops in ways that no other people can. I worked part-time at the clinic, and after I left, I saw one of my clients. She said, I just came back from the clinic, and I saw Jim, and I asked where you were. And he said, well, you had to leave because you had put on some weight and you could no longer fit through the door. You think I'm making that up. And I call him a friend. There are many people here today who have helped countless patients with their suffering with low vision. If you haven't already guessed, I have a favorite, James Thomas Dermick. I could not be more honored. I really mean this. People always say this when they're getting an award if it's after someone's name. I could not be more honored than to be receiving an award in Jim's name. Thank you, Lions Low Vision Clinic, who I've worked with years, the people that are there now, the people that were there years ago. Thank you, Lions. Now, I got to tell you, I was warned about you. They said you'd be a rowdy group. They said you'd be a fun group. They said you'd be a loving group and a very caring group, and you are. And I appreciate that about you. And as you've learned, I just retired. And Jim, I wouldn't have made it without you. Thank you, Jim.
Congratulations again to Scott, please. That's such a lovely award. Kristen, wherever you are, thank you. That was really just a lovely tribute. And to our patient, Ms. Johnson, thank you for sharing your story with us today. It's stories like Ms. Johnson's that continue to inspire me to advance the mission in helping others. We will be breaking for lunch shortly, but there are a few people who deserve a great deal of thanks for putting together today's rally and, equally important, keeping us on top of our game every day. I would like to convey a huge thank you to Kyoko Fujiwara, wherever she may be, and Daniela Fried, wherever she may be. Kyoko is our amazing program manager and knower of all things. She supports the Lions Vision Center Research, Clinical, and Teaching program each and every day. Her dedication is really what makes it possible to do what we do. And please join me in thanking Daniela as well for serving as our development officer and coordinating efforts with the Lions and grateful supporters and grateful patients. Her sharp mind and understanding of the importance of the work we do helps us continue to advance low vision research. So thank you, Daniela, wherever you are. And now I'd like to recognize someone very special to all of us who is retiring, who deserves our sincere gratitude for his service. And for those of you who know Jim Dermick, you'll appreciate how much I'm speaking from the heart. And for those who don't, you'll soon understand why. Jim's retirement is something that fills me with great joy and great sadness. So often we don't realize how much someone is going to change our life when we first meet them. Jim called me one sunny day in the spring of 2006 and asked me to consider a position at Wilmer. Now, I didn't know Jim prior to this, and we only met briefly once. Yet 6 months later, I had closed my private low vision practice and found myself walking into Wilmer as the new clinical director of the Lions Vision Center. I can't say what really made me trust him so much then, but I certainly know now. Every day since then, Jim has been my right hand and many days my left as well, as a guide, as a mentor, and eventually a dear friend. Navigating care in a large institution like Johns Hopkins is always a challenge, but Jim has always had a steady hand on the wheel and through any storm we faced and really helped me develop into a better clinician. I mean that. He shared in our triumphs, our achievements, and our personal and professional milestone moments. He is truly one of a kind and a blessing to all who seek care. I've worked with Jim now for 17 years, and we've gone through a lot together. And I don't think it's a stretch to say that Jim is more like family to me. His family may have to approve, but the sentiment is genuine. I regularly joke that I have two Jims in my life, Jim Dermick and my husband, who is also named Jim. It makes it really much easier to transition from home to work and not call my husband by the wrong name. Of course, it also makes it awkward when Jim gets a random text meant for my husband about bananas or dinner plans. Fortunately, Jim's been a good sport. Over the years, he advised me on everything from parenting to saving for retirement. I can't easily think of a finer example of a clinician or a human being. One of the things I know I'll miss daily is that Jim smile. Whatever was going on, however stressful the situation, you could always count on that Jim smile to cut through and bring you back to earth. Thank you, Jim. Jim's presence over the years in the clinic has helped create a warm and dynamic environment. He exemplifies an ethos of care that inspires us to excel at what we do. He has such skillful talent when it comes to evaluating, treating, and educating patients, and he never loses sight of the compassion element in all of it. In caring for people with vision loss, it's always about the best interests of the patient. His patient-centric care is also what's made him a great mentor to so many practitioners. And Scott's right, Jim knows everyone in the field of low vision, and everyone knows Jim. Because of his advocacy in multidisciplinary care, he has trained occupational therapists, rehab therapists, optometrists, ophthalmologists, teachers for the visually impaired, O&M instructors, social workers, Lions, med students, residents, and Lions Low Vision Fellows, always with warmth and honest intent. It's always about how best we can help the patient and help the patient achieve their objectives and succeed in the presence of vision loss. Jim has been a great example of someone who serves others. He has dedicated so much time over his years to LVRF and the Lions of Multiple District 22. Whether it's educating the Lions on the work we do, speaking at banquets, collaborating on service projects. Like Dr. Patch, Jim always understood the value of the LVRF-Wilmer partnership. And when Jim isn't serving the low vision field, he's often serving his family or his community. Jim is a wonderful husband, father, and grandfather, and it shows. I think about 14 of his family members are in the back of the auditorium today. Thanks for sharing him with us. The extraordinary example of commitment to his family, to his community, and to the low vision field is a great gift Jim has given us. With so many people wanting to honor Jim, there's simply too many to list. But there was one person in particular who really wanted to recognize Jim's contributions, who's known Jim and Peggy much longer than I have. He's highly accomplished. He's an optometrist and an old friend who unfortunately could not be with us today. Jim asked me to share the following with you, and I'll put it up on the screen. This past Wednesday, the senior senator from Arkansas, Senator John Boozman, honored you this contribution with a personal tribute read into the United States Congressional Record, which I would like to share with you now. Proceedings and debates of the 118th Congress First Session, tribute to Jim Dermick, Honorable John Boozman of Arkansas, November 15th, 2023. Mr. President, I rise today in honor of a dear friend, Jim Dermick, who has dedicated his career to supporting low vision rehabilitation, care, and education. Jim and I first met at the New York Lighthouse Guild. I was finishing my optometry studies and doing an externship with the Lighthouse program, and Jim was working at the Arkansas School for the Blind. Our work at the New York Lighthouse Guild involved learning how to better educate and enable people who are blind but still had partial vision to use this remaining vision through magnifiers and other devices that could help navigate a sighted world. Through Jim's persistence, I began volunteering at Little Rock in the Arkansas School for the Blind and developing a low vision program. Working together and with the great team at the school, we were able to make a big difference in the lives of so many students. Our working relationship turned into a deep friendship. My old football coach at the University of Arkansas, Frank Broyles, always used to say, there are two kinds of people, givers and takers. I soon learned that Jim was the definition of a giver. Over the years, Jim has received many awards and accolades, but the thing he will be most remembered for is his servant leadership towards his students and clients. along with the examples that he has set for his friends and coworkers. I know Jim is retiring, but I can't imagine him not being involved in some way through the various organizations and entities to continue helping others. My only regret is that this life has taken us down separate paths, and we've not gotten to spend near as much time with each other as I would like. I wish Jim and Peggy, his wonderful wife, the best. The blind community is much better off as a result of the dedication and care of Jim Daramick. Thank you, Jim. You are clearly going to be missed, dearly going to be missed, but you've left us with so much, and that's why I'm so happy and so sad. And now I'd like to turn it over to another one of Jim's biggest fans, Dr. Bob Massoff.
Good morning, Lions, and good morning, Jim. So it's my honor to recognize Jim in a more tangible way than in terms of an object. And I'm here representing the Lions of Multiple District 22 in that capacity. But I want to welcome you to retirement. It's not as bad as they painted the picture to be. Okay, so if you'd come up, Jim. There's only one possible way this will work, and that's if you get the paper right side up. So on behalf, this is a letter from D. Hawkins, the chair of LVRF, and on behalf of the Lions Vision Research Foundation, I congratulate you on receiving further recognition in the Arnold Patz Fellowship Program. As an Arnold Patz Fellow and Progressive Arnold Patz Fellow, as well as through your involvement and dedication to the Lions Low Vision Center since its inception, you have demonstrated your commitment to the beliefs that low vision and sight loss can be mitigated and possibly cured through clinical research, advancing the education and skills of eye care professionals and better patient care. Your distinction as a Level 2 Progressive Arnold Patz Fellow reaffirms your dedication to the shared objectives of the Lions Vision Research Foundation and the Lions Low Vision Research and Rehabilitation Center at the Wilmer Eye Institute. This partnership, through professionals such as yourself, allows progress to be made in the care, mitigation, and treatment of low vision, and in the expansion of that care through clinical training and research. Your new Arnold Patz Fellow pin is here. And I encourage you to wear it with the knowledge that you have made and will continue to make a difference in the field of low vision care. It represents your dedication to the highest ideals our foundation strives to maintain. This is with PCC D. Hawkins, LVRF Chair. They've changed the pin so you can't get it off. This is a Super Patz Fellow in that it has 2 diamonds because he's already a progressive Patz. Thank you. And there's also a card here for you.
Thank you.
It's quite a surprise. Scott, I guess I need to thank you because it took 30 years, and this is the first time my wife has actually seen where I work. And she came because, as Scott mentioned, the personal connection, thought it would be really nice to see it. And my family, they usually can't keep things pretty quiet. Thank you. I guess like I've told my kids, when you grow up and you get a job, you better get a job that you like going to every day. And for the 30 past years, I can honestly say I never got up with the intent that I didn't like what I did. And it was really, a pleasure to come to work. It was a family, truly a very congenial family over the years, and there were times when people didn't fit in the group and they realized it and they left. Honestly, when you look through, I've been blessed with Dr. Goldberg and Dr. Massoff, worked with Dr. Goldstein, and then Dr. McDonald, of having the opportunity to work with some wonderful leadership. In that, there was a Wilmer family, there was a Low Vision family, there was the Lions family. And I guess what is most important to me is my own family. Because without the support of my family, especially looking at Peggy and the kids, there was many events that went to, never questioned, and there was many a banquet. We used to joke because they were pretty close to in the middle of nowhere, some of them, over the years. But you'd go and you say, gosh, it was like going to church. You might be a little upset, complain. Then when you went back, you're like, oh my gosh, that was a wonderful experience. And the memories and the treasures I have with that are sincere. Thank you for giving me a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for the kind words. And really, the group, I couldn't think of a finer group of people I'd want to be with than the folks here at Wilmer, the Low Vision Clinic, and the Lions. Again, in closing, thank you to all making this possible, with special thanks to my family and to my wife, Peggy. I appreciate it.
I would like to turn the podium over to past District Governor John Schwed, who is chair of LBRF Development Committee and is our key donation collector.
I want to thank you for inviting me to your neighborhood. I'm so happy to be back in your neighborhood. And I think it's kind of a little chilly outside, and we're talking about homecoming and Thanksgiving next week. So I brought my little fireplace along to, okay. I was getting ready to go over here, but, okay. So I brought my little fireplace along just to make us feel a little cozier. Danielle's doing her job, though, keeping me straight. That's good. Okay. I think it's great that we were able to come here live this morning, okay? As we celebrate this Lions homecoming, I'd just like you to think about some words that should evoke good feelings for all of us, okay? The first one is world's best. And what I'm talking about here is the Wilmer Eye Institute and the Lions Vision Center. If you don't think that this organization here is the world's best, then I need to educate you all over again, because there is no doubt about it. This is the world's best operation in terms of eye research, rehabilitation, and eye care. That's where I am, okay? So I hope that's where you are. And I hope the people that came to the rally for the first time this year that had a chance to actually tour the facilities got a feel for the bigness of this site and the history and everything else. The next word that I'd like us to all think about, I could have had some signs to hold up with the word, but the next word is partnership. From 1991, the Lions of Mobile 22 have enjoyed and supported this world's best organization, okay? And it is a true partnership. Next word is service. The partnership is dedicated to improving the lives of those impacted by low vision. And we all know that as of right now, there is no medical cure for that, okay? Someday, maybe there will be. I'm not going to stand up here and say there won't be. But that's what we're focused on. And the next thing I want to talk about for a minute is the concept of becoming a lion, okay? All lions have a date when they were inducted into their respective Lions Club. But we really become a lion when we have an experience that makes us feel really good. And I know my fellow trustee from Delaware, Paul up there, he's had a chance to travel the world a little bit and see just how much lions are doing in other places of the world, okay? So I want to share with you just one or two examples of how it's impacted me. I've had becoming a lion experiences as it relates to this organization here, okay? I'm going to give you this first example. I was walking through my local Food Line grocery store, okay? And a man and a woman come up to me and they say, "Mr. Schwed," and I didn't know these people, so I said, "Okay." And they said, "We want to thank you." I said, "You do?" They said, "Yes." They said, "You helped our daughter get her sight back." And I said, "Really?" So who was your daughter? And they told me. Okay, she was a young teacher, about 24 years old. And she was starting to have real vision problems, okay? And she went to several doctors. I live in southern part of Delaware. It's called Sussex County. And she went to several local places there, and they couldn't help her. So she knew that I had been working here with the Wilmer Eye Institute and the Lions Vision Center. So she asked me for help one day. And this is how the partnership works. I called up Wilmer and I said, "I got a young girl here." I said, "She's very young and she's got a problem. She's losing her vision. And she's nervous and scared." I said, "Can you have somebody evaluate her?" And they said, "Okay, let's have her name and her phone number." Well, I can tell you this. Within 24 hours, Wilmer had arranged for her to be seen by a specialist over here. So she came over here, okay? Now, when the doctor examined her, he noticed that she had some scratches on her arms. And he said to her, "Have you been around any cats recently?" And she says, "Yeah." She said, "Matter of fact, yeah." She said, "I got a couple scratches on my arm here from a playful cat." And he said, "Okay, I've got something I got to check out." So he proceeded with his tests, and guess what he diagnosed? I wanted to give you the feel for the depth of what they do over here. That doctor says, "Young lady, you have cat scratch fever." And cat scratch fever is a disease that cats can carry, and the bad bacteria from that can impact the retinas of the eyes, okay? Now, some of you in the audience I know have heard the famous rock song, Cat Scratch Fever Line, okay? And I didn't realize there was a real disease like that until this situation occurred, okay? So the good news is the doctor here that diagnosed the problem put her on a regimen of medication, and it slowly took a couple months, and her vision slowly returned to normal because they got rid of the bad bacteria. So I just wanted to give you a feel. And when that mom and dad approached me just casually in the Food Lion grocery store, I thought to myself, holy cow, you know, I'm so grateful that I was able to help this young girl like that, okay? So that was definitely one of those days where I became a Lion. So I'm sure that many of you have similar experiences like that. I just wanted to take time to share that one because it's very unusual, and I just wanted to give you the feel for why this is the world's best. And if anything's going to happen, if any new research is going to be found, I am confident it's going to be here. If any new rehabilitative practices are going to be found or any new technology, it's going to be found out of this operation here. And I hope all of you are very proud about being associated with that. All right, now let's get to the numbers while we're here. Right now, the status of the LVC Fellow Endowment Account, that's what we're talking about right now. Maybe for the first timers, you're not exactly sure what the current financial campaign is all about. But Wilmer Development sent me a message and said that they were thankful for the $40,000 received in the last quarter. Our donations go to the Wilmer Development Office every quarter, and then they upgrade the data. So here's where we are. There's $976,256 total in that endowment account. And this is the part that you should be real happy about. $717,340 is from Lions of Mobile 22. $258,916 is from Wilmer sources, okay? Now, what we're doing here is we're building a $2 million endowment fund to fellow these nice young doctors that we have here that are training here at our Low Vision Center, okay? So we need $2 million in place. $1 million from the Lions, $1 million from Wilmer. And I'm absolutely confident we're going to do that. All right, now, to the donations. Some Lions clubs couldn't be here this morning, so Treasurer Morton sent me this report, and I'd like to quickly read these. And these are not in these numbers that I just read. This is money that just came in the mail. Roaring Run Lions Club, 22W, $1,500. South Carolina's Lions, 22W, $1,000. South Potomac Lions, 22C, $50. Bellefonte Lions Club, 22D, $200. Greensboro Lions, 22B, $50. Salisbury Heritage Lions, 22B, $200. Chewsville Lions, 22W, $250. Silver Hill Lions Club, 22C, $2,500. So those are donations that came in the mail to our treasurer, all right? Now what we're going to do is now we're going to open up the floor to receiving donations, okay? I'll start out by reading the two that I have here. So the numbers that I just read in the mail total $5,750. So we start now with about $6,000 here. All right. I belong to the Laurel Lions Club of District 22D. There's a check for $250 from them. And here's a $100 check from me, okay? So that's what we'll start off. Now what I'd like you to do is if there's anybody that would like to make a donation representing a club or an individual, start to form a line over this way and work over this way and come up. If you got more than one lion, I don't care, bring how many you got in your group. We'll take a nice photograph, okay? Whatever way you'd like to do it. Make it a good feeling. Come up here, tell us who you are. Go ahead.
In addition to the ones that past District Governor John mentioned, I have received from La Plata Lions Club $1,000.
Great, that's great. Come here. I'd like you to proudly say into the mic what you brought us here. Can you do that?
I'm proud to say what?
What you brought us. Can you say it?
I brought your check up for $100.
All right, great, that's great. From the Dover Lions Club, right? Okay.
Dover Lions.
Great. All right, next.
I'm Carol. I'm from the Aberdeen Lions Club, and I have a check for $1,250.
All right.
I'm from the Hollywood Lions Club, and I have a check here. But first of all, my wife had surgery here. I've had 2 surgeries here, so I knew a little bit about this place. But after being here today and seeing how this organization works, I can tell you what, I wish we had had our board meeting after my coming here, because the check would have been bigger than what I had. And next year it's going to be more. But from the Hollywood Lions Club, $750.
All right, thank you, sir. There you go. Yeah. All right.
Bowie Lions Club, $2,000.
All right.
I'm going to go that way.
There you go. There you go.
Sue Enzer from the Libertytown Unionville Lions Club, where the home of Lion Bill Strauss, and this $1,047 is in memory of Lion Bill.
Leisure World Lions Club, Silver Spring, $500.
All right.
From my wife and I, Lion Kathy Studenik, me, Bill, check for $50.
All right.
I'm past Council Chairman Clyde Bragg. This is a personal check for $500 for application to a Niceville blind.
Darlington Lions Club, District 22A, $600.
I'm past Director Richard Liebno, and as some of you may know, I head up the Aim for Sight in the western part here in Carroll County at Mayberry, and with my co-chair Gary Burnett. We really had a great turnout this year. Last year I had to cancel because I didn't have enough people. This year I was determined to do it, and I did. We had about 57 shooters this year. Plus something else I did different, we had station sponsors. We raised about $2,000 there. So next year it'll be the last Saturday in September, which is the 28th. And please pass it on to your clubs. And if you can't have shooters, we can certainly you can sponsor a station on that. And this year, we did the best we've ever did. We raised $5,361.05.
John Andrews from the Jarrettsville Lions Club, and I'm pleased to present in behalf of the club a check for $5,000.
Past Council Chair Wayne Cole could not be here today. He'd be doing this instead. We had 2 dinners for LBRF that were sponsored. We had some great speakers and testimonials from some of the past fellows. Together, between the 2 dinners, we raised approximately $14,000.
From the Bel Air Lions Club from District A, $1,000.
All right.
Leonardtown Lions Club, 22C, $1,000.
Personal donation from Lion Sandy Haldeman on behalf of the Gateway Lions Club, $200.
Suburban Lions Club, 22C, $500.
Tallyville Naaman's Lions Club, $100. That's the small envelope. And the big envelope is from Lion Ann and myself for $5,000.
Past Governor Dave Jones, representing the Newcastle 100 Lions Club, 22D, check for $1,000.
Glade Valley Lions Club,
District 22W, $600.
From the Alny Lions Club, District 22C, $2,000.
John Alls from Francis Scott Key Lions Club and 22W, $500.
Frederick Fusion Lions Club from 22W, $100.
Leon Carter from the Oakland Mountain Lake Park Lions Club, Garrett County, in memory of Lion Ernie Gregg, $300.
Obviously, we got some good numbers coming in there, so by the next couple of days, when we get a chance to tally all the numbers, we'll send out an email, let everybody know where we are. But I want to make a point with you, okay? We're at 717,000 as a Lions organization, right? So that says we're just a little bit to go to get to our $1 million mark, right? We got about 200 plus, okay? By the time we get this tallied, we're gonna have, another dent in this. Now, we also have help from the Jones Foundation. The Jones Foundation is helping us by making donations to support the LBRF operations at the Vision Center. And while they're doing that, that means that everything we raise, whatever it is, dinners, anything else, just so we cover our operating costs for the foundation, we are able then to take all that other money and put it into the endowment and move the job quicker, okay? So we're appreciative of the Jones Foundation doing that. The other thing I wanted to say was my particular club will be out in the springtime doing Vision Days, okay? And if you have never done that before, I would like to recommend that to you. Just figure out a way to go out there and stand in front of a local business that wants to cooperate with you, and you'd be surprised what happens. My club usually raises about $2,000 on Vision Days from the local Walmart store, okay? So we'll be adding more money, Chair D, in the springtime. So a lot of ways to get money in by the time we get to the end of the Lions year. I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming today. I want you to go back to your clubs and tell them what you saw here today, and I want you to thank them for every dollar that they said, because dollars add up to hundreds and thousands, and finally we get $1 million. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Past District Governor John, and thank you to all of you for coming and to your clubs for helping us reach our goal of $1 million. I'd like to move into the final part of the program today. Maybe the final, but it's not the least. So I'd like to call for Dr. Peter McDonald. Dr. McDonald is the director and William Holland Wilmer Professor of Ophthalmology at the Wilmer Eye Institute at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. A board-certified ophthalmologist and specialist in corneal disease and surgery, Dr. McDonald is an international leader in corneal transplantation, laser refractive surgery, and the treatment of dry eye. Dr. McDonald received his bachelor's degree in chemistry from Dartmouth College, a 1982 graduate of the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Dr. McDonald completed a residency in ophthalmology at the Wilmer Institute, followed by a fellowship in cornea and external diseases at the Doheny Eye Institute of the University of Southern California. He returned to Johns Hopkins to be Assistant Chief of Service at the Wilmer Institute before joining the full-time faculty at the University of Southern California, where he advanced to the rank of professor in 1994. Please, Lions, give a very warm welcome to Dr. Peter McDonald.
Thank you for that warm introduction. As I was walking up here this morning, I reflected this is the 20th year that the Lions have come while I've been in this current position. And every year I get to see John Schwed the Sir Laurence Olivier of his generation, and Ted and Ann River, but they're on the Wilmer Board of Governors. Our board recall, and they're here like twice a week. And then all the Lions come here. So that's 20 years, but 20 years before that, I was at the bottom of the totem pole, the Wilmer Institute. I was finishing up my training as what's called chief resident. And Dr. Patz, who was the chairman then, called and said he wanted me to come up to his office. The chief resident worked in the basement, the chairman worked on the top floor, and that there was someone he'd wanted me to meet. And that had only happened once before. It only happened twice while I was chief resident. Once was for Supreme Court Justice Lewis Powell, and Dr. Patz wanted me to meet him and shake his hand, and he knew it would be a thrill for me. So I was interested in who this other person was that I was being called up to meet, and it was a Lion by the name of Murray Ryan. And Dr. Patz wanted me to meet him and told me how Wilmer and the Lions were going to start this low vision program at Wilmer that doesn't exist in any other department in the country. And then after I came back, Dr. Patz was now older, and towards the end of his life, he ended up passing away, and we received donations in his honor. And we asked his family what would they want those donations to go to, and they said Mrs. Patz, Ellen Patz, his wife, said that as Dr. Patz became older and knew he was approaching the end of his life, he talked about what was most meaningful to him that had been accomplished by Wilmer while he worked at Wilmer. And they said the thing that was most meaningful to Dr. Patz was the partnership with the Lions to create the Low Vision Research Center and Low Vision Clinic here at Wilmer. Now, this was a guy who Helen Keller had personally given him his Lasker Award. He and I went to the White House for Dr. Patz to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom from the president. But of all the awards he'd gotten, of all the things that had been accomplished during his career, this was the thing that was most meaningful to him. So they wanted all the donations that came in his honor to go towards to this effort. So I'm late today. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get a chance to talk with you. I feel like my excuse is a reasonable one. Today is the day we interview applicants for our residency program, and they set this up about a year in advance, and so we interview these kids. And nowadays, when I'm afraid to pick up the newspaper because it's somebody in the world doing something terrible, and all that stuff always is highlighted in the news, it's easy to get discouraged and to hear about how kids these days don't work as hard as they used to, et cetera. We're interviewing today, we received for our 5 residency slots here at Wilmer 600 applications that we get every year. Almost invariably, they're students in the top of their medical school class at all the famous medical schools around. They're disproportionately women. The women are outperforming men academically in college these days and medical school. And our residency for about the last decade has been predominantly women. It's now about 60-40. Our last year, all 5 of the residents were women. Now it's about the 5 and 600. It's about the chance of winning the lottery, I guess, is to be selected to be a resident at Wilmer. But the thing that always makes me feel good about this experience is how hard these kids work, how excellent their grades are, how outstanding their scores are, tireless. They work, it's the exact opposite of what you read about young people. And admittedly, we're getting the cream of the cream. Ophthalmology is one of the most competitive medical specialties to apply to in the country. So we're spoiled at Wilmer in that we get all these, only the most brilliant even get an interview at Wilmer, but it's uplifting to hear these kids and the questions they want to ask. They want to ask, how is Wilmer helping care for the poor or the people that don't get so much care, et cetera. And I'm able to tell them, I think we work really hard to do that. I recently met with the people, we call it our call center. They schedule for us at Wilmer. They'll make appointments for over 250,000 patients this year at Wilmer. And already they've scheduled 11,000 same-day appointments. If someone says they're really worried, they're afraid they might have a serious eye problem, we'll get them in same day. 11,000 people so far this year. And why is that good? Well, sometimes it is a serious problem. It's hard to know. If you wake up and your vision's blurry, how do you know if it's an urgent problem where hours might make a difference versus something that could wait? You don't know. Most doctors don't know. Non-ophthalmologists, they wouldn't know. But the sooner we see them, if it's a minor problem, we can reassure them. If it's a serious problem, odds are the sooner we start to fix it, the more likely we're going to get the good result we want. But Dr. Patz knew there were some people where we don't have an operation, we don't have a medicine that can restore their vision. And so he was so grateful to the Lions for creating at Wilmer a way that those people could be helped. And this year I didn't get to hear it myself, but year after year at this meeting, we hear from patients that have literally experienced that. Now, when I was a resident, I never got a lecture about low vision. We never saw a patient. Low vision, it didn't exist at Wilmer. So, and we didn't have all the great research programs that go on here or the fellowship like you're creating. All of this exists at Wilmer for one reason, and it's the people in this room. The Lions made that happen. It would not have otherwise happened elsewhere. And it's not that we're just better people than everybody else in the world. It's these other departments don't have the resources to do it. We have it because you all made it happen. So not an accident, not just something that happened. And I think I reflect back on this. I didn't really understand at the time because I was very young and didn't know too much. But that meeting at Dr. Pat's when he asked me to come up and meet Murray Ryan, that was, it was all beginning there. And I think if they were here with us today, they're up in heaven, but if they were here in the room with us today, I think they'd be very happy that they'd feel they'd made a real difference. And I'm glad that Dr. Pat's lived long enough to appreciate what has been accomplished. It's a honor to mention that Jim Darmaic is here with us today and is coming to an end of his time, 3 decades. Nowadays, 3 decades, not that long. But he feels that he deserves to be able to relax and take it easy. And so it's a challenge sometimes. I can imagine there might be mixed feelings. It's a challenge for people I know that are like Jim that have spent decades helping people and sort of often becomes who they are, their self-identity, and then to stop doing that. But I'm sure he'll continue to help people in all kinds of ways. But I've witnessed many, many, many people saying to him or to me that Jim had made a big difference in their lives in terms of their ability to function and get through what they need to do and live their best lives. So Jim, congratulations to you and your family. All of us at Wilmer appreciate all the efforts that you've made over many years for many thousands and thousands of patients. I should end by just thanking all of you Lions for your contribution to Wilmer. John said he thought we were the best in the world, and we strive to be. It's Teddy Roosevelt in his inaugural address. I was reading a history of President Theodore Roosevelt recently. In 1904, he gave a presidential address. He was talking about America, and he said, "Much has been given to us, and therefore, appropriately, much should be expected of us as a country." And I feel that's the way that we think of it at Wilmer. You Lions have been such great partners and been so generous with us. We owe it to you and to the country and to all the patients that you wanted to help to make sure that we're, as John said, the best in the world. There may be other schools that feel that they compete with us, and that's good. And if they're going to ever get or be better than us, we're going to die trying to keep them from doing that. And with you as our partners, I feel like we have a secret weapon. So if I were them, I'd just give up on trying to do that. But for all of you in the Lions Vision Research, Low Vision Research Foundation, helping us with our fellowship, the patient care, getting people to their appointments, the research that Bob Massoff started and these young people have carried on. That's, the envy of around the world. It's all because you did it, and we're very, very grateful that you made it happen. So I'm glad it worked that I got to say hello to you. And on behalf of everybody at Wilmer and the patients that these doctors and researchers help, I want to express my appreciation for all that you do. So thank you very much.
So I want to wish all of you a very safe trip home. And again, congratulations, Jim, on your retirement. Thank you to all the clubs for your donations. And thank you especially for coming here today for our first in-person rally in 3 years. So, safe travels. Thank you.